All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Monday, March 15th, 2021. I got to tell you, it's the best Ides of March I've had in a while. So far, nothing bad has happened that I'm aware of in my own life. Again, historically, this has been a bad day for me. Got all my accounts hacked on this day in 2017. Got all my books banned on this day in 2019. So I'm hoping there's no big surprises. But trying to turn the tide here. So just registered this website, signsmatter.org, and just talked with the website team, just signed a contract. They gave me a discount because they like the idea. I still think it's a little bit expensive to get the website built, but again, they're here local. They're a local business. I know when there has been problems with the websites, they've been right on top of it, so they have my respect there. And again, they're the same team that built gematryeffect.news and the same team that manages freetofindtruth.com. So, signsmatter.org, they're saying it could be done possibly as soon as this Friday. Shouldn't be more than a 2-week project. I'm hoping they'll be done this Friday. I said I'd really like it for it to be done this Friday. I said that would be really great because I want to get this going right now. So that's happening. Talk to the accountant. He's helping me set up the charity. We're going to meet about it this Friday, so we're starting a real charity for this. And again, it's starting here in Yakima, but I'm hoping this is something that becomes a really big thing. Again, I think people will see the beauty in this, helping feed homeless people so that they can hold signs of inspiration. That's what this is going to be about. You know, so many people, I think, every day as they drive by the homeless person begging for money on the cardboard sign, I think they feel this guilt and this wrongness in their heart as they drive by and they don't help out. I know some Americans could care less. You know, they just got this idea as, get a job, you bum, but other people will look and they'll think like, man, I don't have a dollar to spare. Oh, I wish I could do something for that person. And imagine instead they're driving by and they're like, wow, he's not begging for money today. He's saying, smile, hug somebody, do something kind for somebody else. They're like, what in the world happened? He doesn't even need money anymore? And it turns out he doesn't need money anymore because somebody is paying him to hold that sign, and now he has enough money to eat for the day. So, again, you guys, to start, the starting goal will be to give. Well, we can talk about this later. Some people left some great responses to think about, but my initial thought to start was 10 people a day, $20 each. That's $200 a day. And do it all 7 days a week because people got to eat all 7 days a week. And again, pay them to hold a sign of inspiration for 2 hours at a busy intersection and hope the idea takes off. Hope that more people pitch in and donate because right now from the funds coming in, like I said, we can afford to do this. $200 a day to have people hold a sign and to do something positive. And again, we're just trying to create like a snowball momentum right here. But if more donations come in, we can help out a lot more than 10 people. And if this idea goes viral, we could set up signsmatter.org offices in towns all throughout the nation. Just keep building. Instead of having a McDonald's on every corner, have a Signs Matter in every major city where there's a lot of homeless people who need help. And what I was going to say is what somebody wrote, and is actually a smart idea. They said, well, think about it, Zach. That's $200 a day to feed 10 people. They said, imagine that you had an office with a little kitchen in there. You could probably, with $200, make a lot of really great food and feed way more than 10 people. And I said, that is a good point. I mean, you would have the office expense, but again, if the point is to feed people and make sure people are getting good meals, maybe that's the better way to do it. And again, what they wrote also, the person who said that, is they said then you wouldn't have to worry about them spending the money on drugs. The money's going to food, and now you can feed even more than 10 people. And if your budget's $200 a day, again, you could make quite a bit of food and feed people plenty. So I am going to think about that as I'm setting this up. And I'll look for your guys' feedback on that. And ultimately, we want to do more than just feed, right? Ultimately, we want to help these people, get a little more trim, clean, some nice clothes, establish figure out if it's legal for them to like register their address with the office so they can apply for jobs. Because a lot of homeless people, they don't even have an address, so they can't register for any type of services. They can't file for a job. By not having an address, it creates a whole set of roadblocks for getting on the path to success. I know all this stuff because I used to work at Youth Care in Seattle, which was a teen homeless program, and that's what would happen. The young people would stay there. Their address would become the building. You'd help them get a job at a Burger King or part-time at a store nearby, and there were people who were willing to hire the homeless teenagers and help them out. And I still remember Joe. He saved up quite a bit of money, got a bank account established, and when he turned 18, he was the only success story I remember like that. But Joe, he was a young black man, but he was very tall. I forget how tall he was. He was huge. He must have been at least 6'5". He's a big guy. He's real funny too. But by the time that he hit 18, he was able to, go out and transition into his own place. He'd saved up money. He developed some skills. He'd gotten enough hours at Burger King. And I haven't talked to Joe since that was like 2008, 2009. But I would like to think that Joe's out there doing something good in the world now. So, anyway, I want to do something very similar with this, but we'll start with smaller goals, and we'll just get bigger as people support it. For all the people who've listened to this work and thought about donating, maybe before you never thought it was a good enough cause to donate to Gematria Effect News. You didn't really like the idea of building a greater news station. I've had a lot of you write, Zach, I donate, but I think you already do a good enough job. I don't think you need a team of people or higher production. And all of you guys have written that. You guys can think whatever you want. But again, it does take resources to make things happen. And after doing 7.5 years of Gematria, I'm not quitting Gematria, but I just realized it doesn't inspire enough people. And again, we got to make change. We got to make something positive happen. So I'm going to start putting a lot of time into this, and still continue to do the Gematria thing. But we got to make something that just really gets people thinking differently. And again, just imagine if you could inspire people to do something good for their community, for their neighbors, for people in need around them. That would have a net positive effect. So again, this is for that effort, but just got the website registered this morning. If you would have went here before, it would have just loaded up an error page, but now it says I just registered the website with this Hubbard thing. It's the same thing the other sites are registered with. And so fingers crossed that we'll have our website with our mission statement and everything we're trying to do here by Friday, but they said worst case scenario 2 weeks. So I'm going to hold them to that. And what I did for now, if you do want to donate to this, even before the website's up, and trust me, before the end of this week, I'm going to have the video, picking up a homeless guy, taking him to the corner, and we're going to stand there and hold positive messages and try to get a positive response from the crowd. And hopefully, we'll see. It all depends on who I pick up, but hopefully, that they're talkative, and we can have a good conversation too. People can hear somebody's story who's living in a tough place right now. So we're going to do that this week. That video will be up, and I'll ask them if they mind doing a live stream. I'll see how comfortable they are being on camera. I don't want to make them do something that they're uncomfortable about, and I don't want it to feel like I'm using them. I just want to get this started and see, we are going to do this. Signs matter. We're helping people out. People are getting fed. We're making a difference. And for people who want to support through the Patreon already, I made a tier for this. It's the Signs Matter tier, and I decided on $8 a month because it's symbolic. When you say 8, it can be the number, but it can also be like you ate some food, you got fed. So $8 to help with this cause, to feed the homeless, and build up to something much bigger. So I added that tier to the Patreon page. Thank you to everyone who supports the Patreon. We are up to 6,491 people pledging between $1 and $20 a month. And, it is really amazing. It's well short of the number I've been trying to hit, but still at the same time, that is a lot of people who are financially dedicated to this cause. And again, because of that, we've been able to host this website it's been up for about a year and a half now, and it's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to stay here, Free to Find Truth. Again, if you're not signed up on freetofindtruth.com, I don't know what you're waiting for. Again, it is social media for truth seekers, way to organize, network, link up with like-minded people in your community, and again, not have to fear censorship. A place where you can post things that are important to you, things that you're researching, trying to learn about, and not have to worry about coming on the next day and Big Brother's flushed it all down the toilet. So, freetofindtruth.com, again, it's $1,000 a month plus the building site. I mean, it's been a pretty expensive project, but well worth it. And it is growing, and people are starting to link up and organize. And as time goes on, this can get a lot bigger too. So again, we're trying to take the resources that are coming into this community, use them for good, and to help people do bigger and better things, essentially. So, freetofindtruth.com. Thank you to the people on Patreon. They are the reason that site exists. Also because of people who've supported the book, just people who've brought resources into this community. And before I get into the news stories, I just realized that this phrase, Seattle is triggered, I think this should be a really important trending hashtag in Seattle for the people of Seattle to see. And just to, Bryson got to see this in real time, and I do believe Ralph was there. I think Ralph had come and joined us from Los Angeles on the corner by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation this Saturday. Ralph might not quite have been there yet. I can't remember for sure, but I know Bryson was definitely there because we came together. But there was a gentleman who was walking by, and he started mouthing off to us, calling us names, just real angry, real agitated, real irritated. And we hadn't even said anything to him. He just saw our signs that said COVID is an agenda. And just all this anger, all this frustration. And he really did represent Seattle in his behavior. But while he was just going ballistic, I finally said to him, I said, "Man, you are really triggered." That's exactly how I said it to him. And he stopped for a second, he paused, he finally let up. And I mean, he was just going off, red in the face already, just so mad. And I just said, "Man, you are really triggered." And he goes, "I am triggered." And I said, "Think about that." I said, "Where in your life did you learn that it's good to just have this emotional outburst, screaming all this stuff at people you don't even know? You haven't even talked to them. All you've seen is their sign." And he actually calmed down. He calmed down for a minute. And I said, "The reason that we're saying it's an agenda is because we think it is, and people need to know about it." And then we explained to him about Event 201 and the Military World Games in Wuhan, China. And he sort of listened, but then he got into how he was a first responder and how he's seen 12 people die from COVID, and he knows it's real. And I said to him, "Listen, we're not saying it's not real. We're saying it's an agenda, and people need to know about the simulation that took place right before all this unfolded and to think about some things." And again, I wish I would have recorded that interaction because Bryson and I were just out there hoping more people would come join us. I think Ralph might have just joined us right before that happened. If not, he came minutes later. But then from there, we trekked down to Pike's Place. We got there early. We got there just before 9 a.m., hung out on that corner till about 10, and then we made our way down to Pike's Place where everybody came and joined up with us, which was the main meeting spot. But I wish I would have recorded that interaction just so people could have captured the moment where I said to him, "Man, you're really triggered," because it made him reflect on himself. He stopped. He was just going ballistic before that. And then he stopped and he thought for a second and he calmed down. I think almost everyone in Seattle needs to realize that they are triggered. It's like when I go out on the corner of Yakima, we probably get about 20 thumbs up and honks of support for every middle finger we get. In Seattle, you probably get about 100 middle fingers for every thumbs up you get. And to think these cities, by the way the bird flies, they're probably only 150 some miles apart. I mean, it's longer the way you have to drive it with the roads and cutting through the mountains. But, geographically, they're not really that far apart, but culturally, they're entirely different. And, of course, Yakima is a lot smaller place. a lot less people living on top of each other. But yeah, Seattle just really does need a reality check. I mean, it's been that way the whole time. It's not just COVID that's brought this state of hysteria to Seattle. It's been this kind of city. It's a city that thinks it's better than everybody else. It's a city that thinks it knows everything. It's a city where, if you're not a Democrat, you're the enemy of humanity. I still remember standing outside of Key Arena when Obama came to speak in Seattle. Key Arena is where the Sonics used to play, where they still have concerts, performances, right next to the Space Needle. It's in the Seattle Center. But I remember out there just engaging with all the people people just wanted to be around the building who couldn't even be in there. I mean, just people were everywhere. They just wanted to be close to the building the day Obama came to speak there. And I was just going around talking to people all around the building. I used to live right there, so it was super easy. I mean, it was a 2-minute walk from my apartment to Key Arena. But I just remember that day engaging with people and saying, how come all of you are so inspired by Obama? And, almost everyone was on the level of, come on, man, it's time for a black president, and he speaks so great. I mean, that was like everybody's bottom line for why they wanted to support Obama. And I said, I agree with you. I agree with you on both those things. But I said, do you really think he's going to be anything different? People are like, oh, come on, he's going to be way better than Bush. I said, well, I mean, the bar's really low with Bush, so it's not hard to be way better than Bush. And I don't know if he even was way better than Bush. Honestly, he escalated the wars. And don't forget back then that the Democrats were campaigning on how they were going to end all the wars. And then they had, the House, the Senate, the Oval Office, and all they did was escalate it. But what I was pointing out back then was, okay, do you realize that Obama on the campaign trail said, for people who don't remember what was going on at that time, the biggest issue outside of the wars was this idea of immunity for the telecommunications companies, meaning, the companies that our cell phones and internet and all this stuff goes through. Immunity for those companies who had been collecting all of our data and listening to all of our phone calls and text messages and putting it in databases. This all came to light. And then things were even put out in the press at the time that AT&T had been keeping everybody's phone records since 1984, that infamous year. It's like, go figure, AT&T, who made 911 the national emergency dialing code the same year World Trade Center construction began, and realize all these things started to become a conversation after the Patriot Act of 9/11. But then we found out that these companies had illegally been violating our rights, but doing it in the interest of national security. And so there was this conversation. Should these companies be immune from prosecution for violating our rights as citizens of the United States of America? And Obama was on the campaign trail saying that no, they cannot have immunity. He's a constitutional lawyer. They violated our rights. They need to be held accountable. This is un-American. He was campaigning on that for months. But then when it came time to vote, after all those months of campaigning, he voted for immunity. He voted the exact opposite of his rhetoric for all those months. And that's what I was really talking about to people that day in Seattle. I was saying, what more do you really need to know about him when he was so adamant about this issue and how this couldn't happen, but then he voted for it himself? I said, that shows that he's just a politician. He'll campaign for months on something and vote the exact opposite way. I said, that's how you can know that you can know right now he's not going to end the wars. He's not going to change anything. He might talk a good game. He might sound great when he speaks. We might really need a black president. But this man is not going to change anything. So to be so morally invested in him, what I was telling people back then, I said, watch, you're going to be so disappointed by the Obama presidency. You're going to be so let down. And I said, watch, in the future, it'll make, people disengage even further and trust the system even less. And I said, just watch. Whenever it's time for the next president, we already knew. I was saying he will be the next president, you guys. It's a done deal. I mean, senile John McCain's not going to win. It's going to be Obama, but I want you guys to... Anyway, people were getting so mad at me. Some people would listen. A lot of people just didn't even care. They're like, he's better than McCain. It's just... I just remember just like how few people cared, how so many people got agitated and irritated, and I was just speaking nothing but facts, and everything that I told them that day was correct. And you know what? A lot of people were really disappointed with Obama. But of course, then they had to give us, the next circus act, Donald Trump, the reality TV star, the only president to ever participate in WrestleMania, et cetera, et cetera. But, and another actor, echoing Ronald Reagan, who was an actor. But yeah, just Seattle's attitude about everything. Because, I lived in that city from 2006 until, well, I moved to the suburb of Seattle in 2012, and then I was in the Seattle area until summer of 2018, and now I've been in Yakima since July of 2018. But I always was active in things and went out to gatherings and rallies and tried to talk to people. And just Seattle's just always been a city like this where just everyone just plugs their ears. They already know everything. There's nothing you can tell them. They're following CNN. They're following the Democratic Party. Everything else is wrong. And they're just like so nasty about it. And they are. The word to describe them is triggered. They're just so triggered by anything that's outside of CNN and the Democrats. And I'm sure MSNBC now, too, since it tried to, And it's not to say that Fox News is any different. Fox News does cater their stuff to conservatives, but they still stay on all the same, essentially on pretty much all the same issues. It's just it's a left-right divide. It's a divide and conquer thing. But yeah, I almost want. I think the next time I go to Seattle, I'm not going to announce it, you guys. I'm just going to start live streaming there. Because 2 years in a row of announcing, we've had all sorts of agent provocateurs ready for it. And you saw what just happened to me in Portland. It was obvious that was a setup, too. That happened 30 minutes after I got there. So I think I'm just going to start showing up in Seattle more often. And I just bought a big pole right now. It's getting primed. I'm setting it up so I can Velcro on and off my signs like Randy told me yesterday on the live stream. But I think I'm going to start rolling up in Seattle with a big post of good, meaningful signs. And one of them is going to be something like, why are you so triggered? Because I really think this is the question that everyone needs to be asking themselves in Seattle. And it's just amazing how people can just stay in lockstep with all this stuff. When I first got to Seattle, everybody there was so about ending the wars, right? Just so much about ending the wars, so many rallies and gatherings and discussions about ending the wars. Well, once they got Obama, nobody even cared anymore. Nobody even cared that they escalated the war. It's like, so wait a minute. You guys were all about ending the war when it was Bush and the Republicans. Now that the Democrats have everything and they do nothing, you guys don't even care about the war anymore. It's not even we're not having rallies. Nobody's talking about this anymore. It's just like, well, we got our first black president. He sure sounds great. So that's better than, Bush. It's like, really? So really you don't really stand for anything besides having your guy in there. Your politician in there, your party in there. And it's true like this all across the nation. It's not just Seattle. You go to conservative cities, it'd probably be similar, but I still imagine in those conservative cities, they probably listen better. They probably don't get triggered so easily. It's just the Seattle people are so nasty. So, But yeah, I really feel like they need to be confronted. And I feel like, again, if humanity is a chain of dominoes, the negative vibration that's just always coming out of Seattle, it's like a cancer in the body. So it just spreads everywhere. It's like you fly into that city, you just have to be there for a day, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on in this place? People feel evil. And then that negative vibration goes with you to wherever you're traveling to next. And yeah, so I think we need a Seattle, or maybe Seattle is triggered isn't the right hashtag, but something along those lines. Why so triggered, like that Batman Joker thing? Why so triggered, Seattle? Something like that. Something like that. But next time I'm going to have my big post with several signs on it, and one of them on there is going to be something like that. So we'll get the phrasing just right. But like I said, if I'm not going to be able to get much further out of the region, I'm just going to start doing a lot more in terms of pounding pavement. Here where I am, I realize Yakima, it's actually grown a lot. Just standing out in the corner the last few days, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm realizing there actually are way more people in this town. There's actually quite a few cars now. I'm telling you, 3 years ago when I first got here, there was way less people. And again, there's nowhere to buy a house around here. There's nowhere to rent a house. So people are coming here. So I realize I can do more in Yakima now. And also, I'm right 3 hours from Portland, 3 hours from Seattle, 3 hours from a little more. I think it's more like 4 hours to Spokane, 3.5 hours, something like that. But all of those cities are good places to pound pavement. So I'm going to start doing a lot more of that. And I'm even debating on getting. I'll let you again. The resources that are coming in are from you guys, so let me know how you feel about this. I'm thinking about getting some kind of like good gas mileage, but a little bit larger vehicle, so we can kind of do like some field trips. Maybe pick up Team Truth on the way to each city, announce in time, and say, "Hey, can you guys meet me here? I'll drive us. I'll drive us all there. We'll go in the Team Truth van." And I'm also thinking about like if we get like a vehicle, maybe putting like some kind of loudspeaker on the top, kind of like police officers have. Because I'm imagining going through Seattle on the loudspeaker. Seattle, why are you so triggered by this information? You really should be considering that coronavirus, the pandemic, there's more to it than you know. For example, are you aware that on October 18th, 2019, 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, China, on October 18th, 2019, the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China, there was a simulation called Event 201. It was a coronavirus pandemic that shuts down the world for 18 months, reshapes the world as we know it. These things are not a coincidence. Please research. Just imagine over a loudspeaker in a busy intersection like Pike's Place. You know what I mean? And you could do it in other places too. Roll up in front of Pal's Books in Portland where the line's long. All the people in the line hear about it. And hey, by the way, when you're in Pal's today, see if there's any more copies of Number Games. You know what I mean? But yeah, we got to figure out a ways just to be more effective. And if you saw the live streams in Seattle before it got shut down this weekend, kind of also what stole the show is a guy posted up on the corner next to us with a huge speaker and was speaking about Jesus. And what was interesting is one of the gentlemen in our group who was with us said that he went to high school with that guy, and he said in high school that guy was like the worst guy ever, and he's pretty sure he's still a clown. So he was suspecting that guy was actually on the corner getting paid to say everything he was about Jesus. But some people, they do find spirituality and they change their ways, but he was just saying that guy was a no-good goon when he knew him back in his high school days. And what was funny is the other speaker they had on there, who I if you guys watched, I went up and interviewed him. He was real adamant that Jesus was the only way. And then I quizzed him afterwards on some things, and he said, well, he didn't know that much because he just came to Jesus a few weeks ago, but he was already certain that if you weren't with Jesus, you were with the devil. And I was like, wow, so in 3 weeks, you don't really know anything in the Bible, but you know that Jesus is the only truth, and if you're not with Jesus, you're with the devil. So again, to me, just that kind of interview, which they took down, just exposes what's wrong with religion. I mean, again, spirituality can bring good things to people, but know nothing essentially about the text that you're promoting, and then to say it's the only way and that everybody else is essentially wrong. But the one good thing that he did say is, I said, okay, your neighbor's a Muslim and he's a great guy and he lives by the golden rule and you don't have anything bad to say about him. Could he still be your neighbor? He said, yeah, he could still be my neighbor. I said, okay, that's good. That's good. I asked the woman the same question in Yakima last week, and she wasn't on camera, but her body language, she was like thinking about it. I was like, come on. So, anyway. I can respect all religions. I just think ultimately they divide people and they keep people in boxes, and really what we need in the world is more unity, and that's what I've been trying to do the whole time, is bring a message of unity and why we need to stop fighting over our beliefs. And yes, sometimes I can be divisive and I should choose my words better, but yeah, anyhow, these are all the things I'm thinking about. And then with regards to recent news, one of the big stories right now is Charlie Hebdo's back. Remember, Charlie Hebdo was doing the mock Muhammad Muslim covers and contests, and it supposedly led to ISIS-inspired mass shootings in Paris, France on multiple occasions. And you might recall one of them, they even showed the footage of the ISIS shooters, running past a guy in the street, and they shoot him, and you see nothing come out of the gun. You see nothing from the gun, no recoil. The guy falls to the street. You see nothing. You see no wound. You see no blood. You just see nothing. But they were telling you that was a terrorist attack by ISIS, even though it looked like, You know when you're like flipping through movies on Netflix, and you're like, man, this one looks like it has a nice cover. And you start to watch, and you're like, wow, this is like really low production quality. I don't know if I can watch a movie this bad. This is like worse than Zach's YouTube video. But again, it was like 10 times worse than that movie, right? And it was like, how is anyone falling for this? I mean, how bad was that acting there? But remember all the stuff they did with Charlie Hebdo. So anyway, now they're bringing it back. And don't forget, Charlie Hebdo's out of Paris, France, where the Jesuits are from. And Charlie Hebdo's 63 like Paris. And in this case, it's bringing into light the racism in the royal family with Meghan Markle. And notice how it goes. Charlie Hebdo, Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, they're all 63, as is racism. And again, you guys, also just part of what I'm realizing is I'm just talking about this right now. Oh, I don't know if I'm realizing it just now. It's just, again, when you're on the streets trying to wake people up to what's going on, you can explain gematria. It's something you can work in and people can wrap their head around. But again, it's really just the simpler things that most people haven't heard of that really make the wheels in their head turn. You can just see in their eyes. Just like the people who did register on Seattle that, wow, there was an Event 201 simulation, and wow, it did begin the same day as the Military World Games in Wuhan, China, 1 month before the pandemic began. That right there is enough to get a lot of people's wheels moving that, okay, this really might be an agenda. Wow, that seems beyond coincidence. And then again, for people with greater listening skills and more patience and more willingness to learn, you can really explain gematria to them and tie the dots together. I'm so annoyed that they took down those videos, because if you missed where I talked to the woman who was there in the Black Lives Matter shirt, I told her, I said, you are the best Black Lives Matter protester I've ever met, because you listen, you think about it. I can tell this is making sense to you. Because she wanted to know how coronavirus and Black Lives Matter could possibly be related. She totally got it by the time I was done talking to her. And all that was taken down because of Google censorship. And we know why they took down the videos. They don't want another Black Lives Matter protester to see that interview and that communication and, how it can move people. And same with a bunch of other things that happen on camera. They got rid of a lot of very important interactions. But anyway, the point I'm saying is, we invest so much time and so much energy into gematria, which is really important. But it's like humanity has to evolve more to get there, to grasp it. They're still at a state where, like, they know almost nothing. It's like you just got to help them see these basic things first. And then once they get there, then you can start to explain gematria to them. So, again, helping out homeless people, giving them a positive message. Because, again, you guys, just think about how simple that is. But that's, like, okay, in Triggered Seattle, right? In Triggered Seattle, when you go to Triggered Seattle, if they found out that we're on the corner paying homeless people to hold up positive signs, a smile. Imagine you had like 3 homeless people in a row and they all had a decent sized sign, and it was like a sentence, but they're all holding it together. A smile, and maybe the guy in the middle is like holding a sign that just says "is more," and then the last person's like "beautiful," then a mask, or divide it up the right way. Or I guess maybe you could even make a big sign and they could just hold a big old sign together. Big words. A sign is more beautiful than a mask. You know what I mean? Or what did I just say? That's not what I meant to say. A smile is more beautiful than a mask is what I meant to say. A sign's probably even more beautiful than a mask, but a smile. What would they make of that? Homeless people out there holding that? It might make people think like, yeah, it's true. We don't get to see anybody's smiles anymore. And Seattle is a city that's in serious need of smiles. Everybody's in a mask there outside. It's just a swarm of masks. But, just clever signs. And honestly, the other thing I would like to get all the homeless people in is, in warmer days, cooler days, like a hoodie, but warmer summer days, like a T-shirt. And on the back, it could say signsmatter.org. People see that they're wearing the signsmatter.org T-shirt, and then they're holding the sign. And, they go to the website. Because what I told them that I want for the website is, again, just you come to the front page, the mission, what this is about, what we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to help feed homeless, how we're trying to give people a message of inspiration, how we're trying to do positive things for communities, how we're trying to help out local business owners who are getting burglarized right now. We're trying to tackle all these things with a simple cause. And again, I mean, what I'm talking about right here in Yakima, I know that these same types of things are going on all over the world. So if it can just start right here and grow, people just start sharing about it. Hey, we need a signs. Somebody should set up a signs matter in our town. And again, it's like I said yesterday, $6,000 a month is what it costs. I'm starting to think more. I mean, with $6,000, you could really feed more than 10 people a day. But the initial thought was 10 people a day get $20 to buy all their food and educate them about, listen, you can't keep spending this on drugs. That's not helping you. We're trying to help you build your path. But I'm going to entertain that thought of maybe it's better to, because you know what? Okay. Remember the building that I was trying to get the guy to sell us to? Remember what the rent was for that last year? It was not very expensive. I forgot what the rent price was off the top of my head, but I want to say it was around $1,500 a month. He might even come down on it because it's remained vacant all year. Still, nobody's taken that building. As far as I know, the person that was considering did not do it. There's nothing going on in there. But that building has a kitchen, you guys. That building has a kitchen, an upstairs that could be made into apartments, and a huge basement. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it more, maybe that's the better thing to do. You turn that kitchen into a place to make food to feed the homeless. We renovate the upstairs and finish the work that needs to be done. For those of you who weren't here a year ago, I went through the building and I made a video about it and I showed what work needs to be done. The plumbing needed to be finished upstairs. It does need some improvements. It needs the forced air heating throughout and cooling. But again, we've accumulated some resources this year. We could do this if you guys. I'm going to see if you guys are into this based on the responses. If this sounds like more like the plan, instead of paying them each day, do we just set up a place where they can come to, a place where they can have community, shelter, food? Maybe that's the better way to go. And we help get them dressed. We have showers there to keep them clean. I do know the difficulties of a homeless shelter. There are a lot of difficulties. There's mental illness. There's weapons, there's drugs, there's emotional things that happen because you're putting oftentimes emotionally unstable people around each other. So there are things that need to be done. But I am thinking now, man, rather than putting $6,000 out in payments a month, just individual payments, maybe it's better to put it into a project and have this building. As I'm saying out loud, I think that probably is the better thing to do. I'm going to be working on this all week and going forward. But if it does just start out with just giving people the money to feed themselves just to get it rolling, I mean, that's a simpler way to do it. But, yeah, I know that building could be so perfect. I'm going to get in contact with the man who owns that building again and tell him about my idea. Because the last time I talked to him, it was before the pandemic started. The pandemic. His mind, his ideas about things might have changed. And if you guys remember, his name is Man. His last name is Man. But he owns the majority of this town, the buildings in it. And he said he doesn't want to sell any of them because he wants to give them to his sons when he passes. I do know that he bought a massive building and had all these big plans for it. And it was here in the local paper right before the pandemic. That whole project's been stalled and nothing. And he's probably feeling like, God, I bought all this with all this. And now this might never happen. He wanted to bring back an indoor mall to Yakima, which... I don't know if that's going to happen in this age, you know what I mean? So I need to reach out to him again. And, anyway, getting a lot of positive feedback about this. I've only had one person say anything negative about this project so far. And, that's my mom. My mom's always told me not to do anything except for be an accountant. That's the only thing my mom's ever supported me doing, being an accountant, which is why my undergraduate degree is accounting. It's always what my mom wanted me to be. Everything else she said no to. She's still the same way. It's like, don't you see that I'm doing things and it's going well? We're doing things here. So, anyway, she's like, what she said, her words were, Zach, your idea is something for a billionaire to do. I said, well, no billionaires are doing it. So, anyway. Coming back to this, again, this whole Charlie Hebdo racism thing, the Queen kneeling on Meghan Markle's neck. Look at what day Charlie Hebdo put this out. they put out this cover. It was breaking on March 9th, right? 3/9. What happened on March 9th? Do you guys remember what happened on March 9th? March 9th is the day that they moved. It was supposed to be March 8th, but then they moved it one day later to March 9th, the George Floyd murder trial for Derek Chauvin and the other officers who were related. So on the same day that trial started, Charlie Hebdo debuted this cover. And again, Officer Chauvin on George Floyd's neck. Now we have Queen Elizabeth on Meghan Markle's neck on the same day. Again, you guys, this is how it's obvious that it's a new world order, you know? I don't know how people don't see it. It's just so coordinated. It's such mockery. It's such obvious deception. It's such obvious bait. It's always obvious bait. Charlie Hebdo wants you to hate Muslims. Charlie Hebdo wants people to, divide over race and religion, et cetera, et cetera. It's just divide and conquer. And they're out of Paris, France, just like the Jesuits, whose motto is divide and conquer. And it's become very clear in the time of the pandemic who runs the royal family. The same people that run the UK, the US, and most of the other nations of the world. The Jesuits. The Jesuits. And remember, the Jesuits like this 63 as well. John Carroll has the 63 in his name. Very important Jesuit who founded the first Jesuit university in the US. And per CNN, the spelling is wrong on this because I think shouldn't breathe be with an E at the end? But CNN is saying that this right here translates to because I couldn't breath anymore, but shouldn't breathe have the E on the end? Or maybe you can also spell breathe without the E on the end. Some words are funny like that in English. But the way they spell it is 119, just like George Floyd, And remember, they said the officer was on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, 8:46. They said the first plane hit the tower on 9/11 at 8:46. The George Floyd pre-murder trial began on September 11th. And don't forget, Fraternal Order of Police equals 119, as does All-Seeing Eye. And on their logo, they have the All-Seeing Eye. And I noticed from the Queen's 94th birthday to the day that the magazine cover debuted, March 9th, was 322 days. It's also 46 weeks, like George Floyd was 46 years old. Like the Latin for Ordo Ab Chao, for Order Out of Chaos, is 46. But 322, we know that's the number of skull and bones, which relates to the Knights Templar, who relate back to the church, just like the Jesuits, who have the Templar cross in their logo. So 322 days after her 94th birthday, 322, again, the number of skull and bones. George H.W. Bush, who was a member of Skull and Bones, died at age 94. So, again, just all these connected networks, secret societies, all pointing back to Rome. And from Meghan's 39th birthday, 39, this happened on 3/9. In terms of black history, you think about Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, both killed at age 39. You think about George Floyd. George has that gematria 39 like Gemini, like how his killing happened in the time of Gemini. But Meghan Markle, 39 right now. This came 31 weeks after her 39th birthday, right on the nose, 31 weeks. That's the 11th prime. Black is 11 in the most pure cipher. Of course, our birthday is 8-4, Jesuits 84, United States of America 84 in the most pure cipher. And yeah, it's just, this is one day after the Oprah interview, right? We talked about the Oprah interview by the numbers. And yeah, it's just, it's so obvious the things they control. Like Charlie Hebdo, we need to get. Are there any awake people in Paris, France? I'm sure there's. I've had some people reach out for France. I get the idea that people in Paris are like the people in Seattle without even being there. I've never been there, but I just get somehow I pick up on the idea that they got the same vibration going on there in Paris. But we need people in Paris who are awake to unite and link up at Charlie Hebdo and get out the word about what they've been doing. And you guys can go through my old website. Freetofindtruth.com is the social media platform for truth seekers. My old blog is similar. It's freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. But if you go back to that and search Charlie Hebdo, I have so many posts on all the crap they've been involved in over the years. And yeah, it's just, this place needs to be exposed. Yeah, you can even see up here, they got a reminder of what happened in 2015 with the Muhammad stuff. And Again, it's just, and remember, the Prophet Muhammad died at age 63, right? And remember, Muhammad Ali, we predicted he would die at age 74 in 2016, which he did, and he ended up dying on June 3rd, 6-3 in 2016. 2016 is the 63rd triangular number. Muhammad's got that gematria 74, that infamous number. So we thought Muhammad Ali would go at age 74. Muhammad Ali's also 201, like the Jesuit order. So there's that. And then today on the Ides of March, Pope Francis and the Vatican said that they're not going to endorse homosexuality because it's a sin. They will not bless same-sex unions. And just notice in the most pure cipher, sin is 15. This news on the 15th, right? In reverse, it's 21. It's the year 2021. Jesuits 21. Bible's Sunday. Bible's 21. Sunday's 21. Rome's 21. From Pope Francis's December 17th birthday to today was his 89th day of his age. Religion's 89. The story of Jesus, the Gospel's 89 chapters. Today can be written 15/3 like Jesuit Order 153. And again, just in the last 20 plus years, I think it really started about when I was in high school. I cannot remember his name right now. It was Matthew something. There was a story. It was very viral in the news. MTV, I think, really got it out there. But there was like a young homosexual man who was like beaten to death. Matthew something. I swear it was Matthew. Could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was Matthew. But that, like, for the first time in my life, and I think a lot of people's lives growing up, it was like the first time we even really thought about homosexuality. It was like the first time it was a news story. And then Bush came into office shortly after that, and they were very opposed to gay marriage. And then when Obama got in office, then there was a big push to legalize gay marriage and same-sex civil unions. And honestly, you guys, like, to me, I think if two women want to become a union, or two men, even though it's not my thing, I honestly think that if people want to be a couple and have the rights that other couples have, to me that speaks to freedom, honestly. Because again, part of the thing is, like, if you're not married, then you can't share a bank account if you want to do that, or you can't have visitation rights if something horrible happens to your partner and they're put in the hospital, right? So I get all that. So I mean, if you're in a loving relationship and that's what you want to do with your life, that's freedom. So if the government, if there's going to be rules about how only married couples or civil union couples can have these things, I think everybody should be entitled to that. So I wasn't really opposed to the laws changing in that way. I thought that was right, honestly. But the point is that in the last 20 years, they've just made this such an issue, and it just, like, all the divisiveness and the national stories about, oh, this couple couldn't get their cake made at this bakery, so then it went to the Supreme Court. All those stories have been contrived in just a way to control laws. But see, that's where I think the problem is too. If somebody owns a bakery and they're a Christian fundamentalist, and to them they think homosexuality is wrong, so they don't want to make a cake for the homosexual couple, I think that they should have that right as a business. And I think the homosexual couple should be like, you know what? I'm going to go to the bakery that makes better business decisions and makes us the cake we're asking for. I think that's just the way the world should be too. Like, there doesn't need to be a big lawsuit and laws need to be changed, and because now we're using, because, like, you have to realize the difference. On one hand, you're saying, okay, free people should be able to marry whoever they want, same sex or not. That's freedom. But now where you're using the homosexuality thing to go against freedom is now you're saying, ooh, now it's illegal for that business owner to deny somebody because they're homosexual. To me, a private business, that they should be able to do that. To me, that's really dumb. If you're a private business owner, why would you turn down a customer? But, and again, for the homosexual couple, I guarantee you there's going to be a bakery in your town where they'll make you the cake. And you know what? If there's not, start it yourself. It'll probably be a big hit and a big news story, and you'll have the most popular bakery in town. So That said, I mean, I do realize the other side of that. It's like big tech, they're private, so they can do whatever they want, censor whoever. But realize big tech's not really private; it's big government. That's how they got to be so big. That's the problem when these private companies get to be so big and powerful and become a thing like Google, the thing where like everybody goes for all of their information now. That's just the term. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna go. Oh, I gotta Google that. I gotta Google that. I mean, that's where people go for information. So for them to be this big thing that's censoring and filtering information. That's a different can of worms, but anyway, today on the 15th, on the Ides of March, big headline from the Vatican, and for years, Catholics haven't liked Pope Francis because he's been very open to homosexuality, so this seems kind of like a turn, but also, ultimately all it is just more symbolism for people to get worked up and divided over and stressed out about. I'm sure there's plenty of homosexual people who, opened up their paper today or went to their favorite website and saw this, and then it just gave them this negative feeling. Again, it's all low vibrations that the media puts out. Headlines by the numbers every day. How about this one? I just covered this headline on March 3rd. On March 3rd, there was a headline, Deadliest Day in Myanmar, at least 38 killed. That's exactly what it was on March 3rd. Hold on. Didn't I link that post? Well, I thought I meant to link it here. I must have forgot. But here. If I search Myanmar 38, watch this. They reported the same thing on March 3rd. 38 killed. Let's see. Myanmar, a war zone as security forces open fire on peaceful protesters, killing 38. Same thing that day, same thing this day. And Sweet Lady took issue with both of these headlines because it's shown her. Sweet Lady's from Myanmar, so she's keeping up on all her local. She's reading in Burmese and everything. She's keeping up on the local sites. They're reporting way different numbers over in Burma. They're not coding 38 every day, 38 every day. It's just a reminder. When the media reports things, it is contrived, it is coded, it is ritualistic. The reason they report 38 over and over is because death, murder, killing, RIP, they all equal 38 in Gematria. Just like how the cover of Murder by Numbers codes a 3 and an 8 right in the words. Again, it's just so obvious. Her story, the Burmese sources yesterday were saying well over 50 people were killed. And it was also saying that the same thing on March 3rd. And her sources are saying more than 50 people killed. And again, they don't give you an exact specific count because it's hard to get that kind of information when a lot of people are killed. It's hard to have the exact count. Was every last dead body accounted for? Was every last one picked up? Did the military take some of them away? And realize, if you guys are looking into the footage, there's a lot of footage out there on the internet if you search for what it looks like over there, how the protesters are fighting back against the Burmese military. It's young people. It's a lot of young Burmese teenagers. And Sweet Lady's take on it is, these are the same ones that are growing up now with the video games. And she's like, it looks to me like they're inspired by like the military shooter video games, and they're trying to back out and do their own thing, like fighting back from what they learned with the video games. And I was thinking about that. I was like, that very well could be how it is, because you don't really see anybody that looks like they're older than their early 20s that are over there fighting back in these videos. It's all the young men, and it just made me think, population control, if it just gets worse and worse, and that's the trend that the young men fight back, if all the young men are getting killed off before they really reproduce. I even had to ask Sweet Lady, I said, what's the population of your country? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, is it 5 million? I said, what's funny that you said that? I said, that was my first thought. I was wondering if it was 5 million. But look at this. Look at how big her country is. Myanmar population, as of 2019, this is from 2019, it was 54 million, supposedly. And it's not the biggest country. Its landmass is like close to Texas. What is the population of Texas? Can't be that big. Yeah, so it has almost twice as many people as Texas. And it's about the same size. Myanmar is a country that most people do not know about in America, but where it is it's right next to Thailand, India, and China. You hear India, China, Thailand, you know all those, but you don't hear about Myanmar. And Myanmar's had the longest ongoing civil war because it's divided into 7 states, and the 7 states have their individual militaries, but they have been clashing with the Burmese military for a long time, but now the Burmese military's taken over the whole country. So, and again, just the whole population control thing, So, but yeah, it is a pretty big place in terms of population. The country that almost no one's ever heard of. Myanmar and Burma are the same place. It was always called Burma, and then in more recent years became more known as Myanmar. Okay, so also in the news today, keep in mind today has 59-date numerology. Stacey Abrams has a stark warning for Americans. She's become one of these national figures by the numbers who we've been talking about for years, participating in a lot of rituals by the numbers, especially having to do with race. And then today, Derek Chauvin's defense asked to delay trial in light of the $27 million settlement for the George Floyd family. And then 2 men charged in the attack on Officer Sick Nick. But look at this. Look at this. We know how in these race-based stories, they always bring the numbers 42 and 59 together, right? Again, the 18th chapter of my first book, Letters and Numbers. That's what it's about. Race-based rituals in 42 and 59. So now today, the white officer's defense looking for a way out since his family got the big settlement. We're going to see where this goes from here. But today is 42 days, or not 42 days. Today is 42 weeks on the nose from the Memorial Day, May 25th, 2020 killing. 42 weeks on the nose to today, Ides of March, which is a day known for killing, right? The Ides of March is to remember the killing of Caesar. And today also has 39-date numerology, like George and Gemini are 39. And then today's got, again, 59-date numerology 42 weeks later. So these numbers come together. See where it goes from here. I also noticed that from George Floyd's birthday to today, if he were alive, would be his 153rd day of his age. Date can be written 15/3 like 153, Jesuit Order 153. So we'll have to see where this goes from here. I haven't seen the latest headlines since this morning. I got up and did this decoding this morning, and then I've been talking with the website team and the accountant since then. So I don't know if there's an update. There might be more, but this was first thing this morning. And I noticed Derek Chauvin is about to turn 45 years old on March 19th. Remember, he was 44 years old at the time of the killing on the 44th parallel in Minneapolis. Kills 44, execution 44, officer 44. But he's about to turn 45, and racism and ritual are both 45. And as for Officer Sick Nick being in the headlines today, remember, he was injured in the January 6th insurrection. Today's the 74th day of the year, so it's 68 days later. Remember, there were 68 arrests, and 56 officers were injured. Sick Nick equals 56. But now we get this update for who's responsible for his death 68 days later after the 68 arrests. And I remember what it was about 68 on the day of the event. It was called the Save America March, right? Put on by Donald Trump. Save America March 68, Donald John Trump 68, The Apprentice 68. Next thing you know, they're reporting 68 arrests at the event. And now 68 days later, And remember what 68 is. CIA 68, who runs the mind control programs in the federal government and the media. Also in the news, Navy probe finds contractor charged in Capitol insurrection was well-known Nazi sympathizer. And again, this is programming, you guys, right? This is programming. There's certain things etched in our minds that are just bad, just evil. And when you associate things with that, people think like you can just make a false association, right? And then people are like, oh, how terrible that person must be. When I just played that clip the other day that YouTube took down, the man in Australia who was trying to raise awareness about what's going on with COVID, one person came up to him and said because he was questioning the pandemic, he was like a Nazi. And he was like, really? It's like, yeah, really. How is it that questioning the pandemic makes you like a Nazi? But see, these are just things that are programmed into people's minds that are bad. And in their mind, also with that programming, is questioning authority is bad. So there's this thing in their mind, their bad section. And so when they get into a debate with somebody, they just start pulling from their bad section. Conspiracy theorist, Nazi. You know what I mean? And these are these stereotypes and things that are put out there all the time. But also they're connecting this guy to Trump. And they said his name was Timothy Hale Susanelli. So he sounds like a fascist from the time of World War II. But here, I'm just going to go to GematriaEffect.news. It has the same calculator as Gematrinator.com. Same 4 base ciphers. You can see that his name has the 110 and 88, right? Remember, Trump is 88. Trump is 88. Adolf Hitler is 110, and his birthday is April 20th, the 110th day of the year. Do you remember how when Trump became president, there were a lot of headlines that said he was carrying around Mein Kampf, which is Hitler's text? Mein Kampf's got that 88 as well. So, again, all of this stuff is just echoing the same programming over and over, but delivering it through a news story. Here's a new news story with the same programming, the same talking points. I mean, it's just so obvious. They interviewed 44 of his colleagues. Remember, Trump was number 45, but the 44th person to be president. Military's 44. He's a military guy. Adolf Hitler was a military leader. So, anyway, if it's in the news, it's news by the numbers. It's programming. To see through the programming and just how encoded it is, that's where you need the gematria. And it looks like we have a new headline breaking. Progressive groups launched 30 million voting rights effort. You know what makes me sick about this is, again, this is targeted so that more minority voters, as they're referred to, specifically black voters, can vote. And we know what the 30 is, right? We know what the 30 is. The N-word's 30, slavery's 30, Tuskegee's 30. It's just another number they use with the racial rituals. And then here, 3 killed, 6 hurt after vehicle plows into pedestrians in San Diego. Okay, so it's the 74th day of the year, you guys, right? It's the 74th day of the year, and in the most simple cipher, San Diego is 74. Just simple English gematria. I'll make it bigger. San Diego, 74. On the 74th day of the year. And that just said people were killed, didn't it? 3 killed. Of course, 3. But killing's got the 74, as does stabbing. You see all these words on the top cipher. The most simple are 74. Stabbing, killing, San Diego, 74th day of the year, Ides of March. By the way, when you write out Ides of March, it's got the 56 in it, right? The 56. When you write out 3, when you write out 3, it's got the 56. Just like Society of Jesus. They go back to Rome, like the Ides of March. But I haven't seen a story like that in a minute. 3 killed, 6 hurt after vehicle plows into pedestrians in San Diego. Ripe story for the 74th day of the year. Remember, that was a big trend for a while. Remember ISIS started doing that? ISIS started ramming vehicles into crowds. If they end up saying that this is ISIS today, I mean, we haven't seen an ISIS headline in a long time. But if they do end up saying it's ISIS, just remember ISIS also has that 56 in it as well. If ISIS is back now, just more divide and conquer, we'll see. Nashville bomber back in the headlines, if you missed all our work on that. Look, and just right there, Nashville bomber was fueled by stressors such as conspiracy theories. Yeah. I just got to see for the kicks. What's stressors equal? There's a word we've never decoded in our 7.5 years here. Stressors. Stressors. 152, 35, 91, 64. 91 factors in. We talked a lot about 91, 41, and 13 with the ritual. It was AT&T. 91's the 13th triangular. 41's the 13th prime. I know that number came up a lot. 35, of course, the big Catholic number. I'm going to have to go back. I don't remember if there was any 64 in it. So, but yeah, I mean, that's just what I mean. It's same programming day after day. That happened Christmas Eve, wasn't it? Or was it Christmas Day? I go back. We did a lot of work on the Nashville bombing. If you guys missed that, it's on Gematria Effect News, which has been renamed, about to be deleted 20th time by YouTube Nazis. I think I would have said YouTube Jesuits, but I think I filled up every character I could put in the name. Nazis was shorter, and really the Nazis, again, were fueled by the Jesuits and the Catholic Church. Even used their color scheme, but yeah. Another day, same type of propaganda, same kind of stuff that the Seattle people just let trigger their minds, program their minds. I mean, the Seattle people are just so robotic, you guys. They're just, something has to be done to break the mind control spell out of that city. I'm telling you, that city really is a cancer for humanity that just flows negative energy to the rest of the world. So, if we can get this Signs Matter thing to really take off, again, this website should be up here very soon. If we can get this thing to take off, maybe we can quickly get in Seattle. They got a lot of homeless, a lot of very wealthy people, Could easily feed the homeless. Be a small effort in terms of the amount of massive wealth in that city, I used to always think about those types of things. It's just like how many homeless people were on the streets while so many people funneled into restaurants and bars. And I understand people want to enjoy life and have fun, but you're just paying all this extra money for alcohol, all this extra money for food, right? You're just paying all this excess. Had you just stayed home and had a party at your house with your friends and bought some alcohol and some food, you would have saved a ton of money. You could have given that extra money and housed, a ton of homeless people and fed them for the night. You know what I mean? If we just allocated our resources differently. And imagine you live in a world where nobody's hungry, nobody's desperate. Guess what? If you don't have hungry, desperate people, you don't have crime and violence. You do not. Next thing you know, you're saving all this taxpayer money on police and, first responders. I'd love to see Seattle's bill every single day, truly, just for, responding to homeless people that OD'd on the street and just all the stuff that happens. I mean, ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. We're trying to bring the prevention here. So I'm going to leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Bunch of other tasks to do today. And again, thank you to everyone who came out this weekend in Seattle. Thank you to Randy. And sorry, Lynn. I referred to Lynn as Maria yesterday. If you watched the videos in Yakima, that was Lynn, not Maria. Randy and Lynn were out there pounding pavement with us, plus a few people that came and talked to us throughout the day. But thank you again, Lynn, and I'm sorry I called you Maria. The reason I called you Maria, if you're wondering that, is you remind me of somebody I used to work with when I managed an autistic children's home. You look just like my boss, whose name was Maria. You guys look like you could be sisters. It'd be funny if it turned out you were. But I will remember from now on, you are Lynn. And so, yeah. Apologies for that. But Lynn and Randy did a great job yesterday. And I want to go out there and pound pavement today, but I'm not sure I'm going to have time. I have so many things I got to do right now. So I will be pounding a lot more pavement, though. Yakima, Portland, Seattle, Spokane. And again, you guys got to get back to me on the things I talked about. If you didn't get it from the beginning, I threw some ideas out there. I want to hear what you guys think about it. Should we invest some money in a vehicle that we can transport people around if we're making regular trips to Portland, Seattle, Spokane? Get people in the truth wagon, get some kind of speaker mount up there so we can talk to people through the speaker as we go through the towns. I think that could be fun. Get some kind of camera up there too. People can just record through the windows, I suppose. But the speaker on the top could be fun. So I think that could be effective in places like Seattle. Just driving around the city. Just imagine, you're going by when the sports games get back in session, driving by, letting them know about how the sports are rigged. I think that could be funny. So, anyway, we'll leave it there, you guys. And I'm going to be back on Patreon today. The Patreon people, they need their March Madness. We're doing that tonight. I got to put in some serious work on that between now and then. And, yeah, if anything crazy happens tonight in the headlines, I will be back. So, Bryson calls it the Magic Truth Bus. By the way, you guys, make sure you support Bryson. And let me come back to Twitter, too. Bryson's channel is Bryson Bell, BrysonBell. But where's my Twitter at? Bryson's page is doing really well. Bryson has a lot of people following him. People are inspired by what that young man's doing. Here's a guy who's not getting the love yet, but I want him to get the love too. This guy came with his brother, Sean. Sean and his brother drove 20 hours from California, where they live, to Seattle to be with us, and they were just mind-blown by how bad the people were in Seattle. They just couldn't believe it. They were so glad to be from the town they're from. But this man was great. And he's up to 69 subscribers, which is good. He's going up, but we got to get him up higher. You guys, let's get everybody in our community up to at least 1,000 subscribers. It's free to subscribe. What Sean wants to do is what we just did in Seattle. He wants to start pounding pavement more with his brother. He took some signs with him. He's got his signs. He can always go make more of his own signs. But he wants to do this more. And he came out, and I mean, he's made for this, you guys. Great voice, courage, talking to strangers, talking to everybody. And again, help inspire him to get out there faster. He's excited already. Just I think when he did this video, he was up to 50. Now he's up 19 more. But support these people, you guys. Sean R. Gilligan. Here, let me make his channel name bigger so you guys can see it. Sean R. Gilligan. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Real quick. Go out and support these people. Even if you don't want to watch their channel, just give them the subscription, because when you get to 1,000, it allows you to just take your phone out on the street and live stream. And that's what he wants to do. That's what Randy wants to do more of. So let's support Sean. Randy needs to get up to 1,000. Randy drove all the way to Seattle from Spokane. That's a 5-hour drive. And then he drove to Yakima the next day to pound pavement with me there. Spokane Anarchist. I think that's how his channel is. Spokane, or does he? Spokane. Maybe it's Spokane Anarchist. Let's get tripped up on his channel name. This is it right here. Oh, Randy, they are unsubscribing people from your channel already. Congratulations. Because I was definitely subscribed before. But Randy's had a big surge. I think yesterday he was right around 100 subscribers, so he's up almost 200. But you know what, you guys? He needs 700 more subscribers to get to 1,000 so that he can have the privilege of live streaming through his phone. That's where you need the 1,000 subscribers, to live stream on your phone. And by the way, you guys, I think I need to start another YouTube channel. I might have to. Maybe I'll just start a channel called Signs Matter. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start a new channel called Signs Matter, and just that's gonna become my streaming. Also, by the way, for the gentleman out there who told me about Float, I'm gonna use that, but Float's not quite ready to stream through your cell phone. That's something they're working on their website. So as soon as that happens, I'm just gonna move everybody to Float. I might just finally abandon YouTube, because really we need to stop supporting this platform. The reality is that by using their platform, when you watch videos like mine, you're not generating any revenue for them because there's no ads. But all these channels that you go and there's ads, I mean, that's how that's how YouTube is making their money and gaining their power through all this advertising. So if we're not here, if we're not using their platforms, they die, and they do need to die. But yeah, come support Randy too. Come support Randy. Randy's been making a lot of great videos, you guys. I'm actually surprised that his channel hasn't taken off more. He's very well spoken. He's very reasonable. I think his message would appeal to almost everyone. This is a great man right here. And, he even made a video criticizing me, which I appreciated because I thought he was right on point. This is a guy to be respected, and yeah, come support him. We need to get him up to 1,000. He has a cell phone. He's ready to pound pavement. He's making his own signs. He's making his coronavirus. Hey, what did I do with it? I think I got to move it in here. I think I left it in the garage. His pink coronavirus ornament he made, he wanted me to have it. So I didn't want to take it because it was so cool, but I'm going to get that in the background. So anyway, this is a good man right here, and let's support his channel so that he can start doing more streams. I think him and Bobby are going to link up in the Spokane area. I thought those two would have already linked up, but better late than never. And hey, we're already up 8 since I started saying it, so that's great. But here's his channel, you guys. And, just for the record, just for everybody else, so nobody feels left out, if you guys are not supporting Chigozi, how am I getting unsubscribed from everybody? This is what they do to the Gematria community. They unsubscribe us. Wait a minute. What channel am I on right now? Oh, I know. It's because I'm not streaming through this channel. But I swear I subscribe to everybody's channel on all my accounts. So definitely subscribe to Chigozi. He does great work. Kayla Decode Talker. You guys know her, right? If you don't know her, you need to know her. I swear to God, I was already subscribed to everybody's channel on this. Kayla Decode Talker. Subscribe to her channel. Oh boy. Dan Barrett does very good work. Sometimes he gets off on a little bit too much abstract stuff, in my opinion, but very brilliant mind. He's been decoding Gematria the longest after yours truly. He was the first person to step up and start doing it on his own channel. Chigozi was right behind him. Derek, still waiting for Derek to make his apology video for spreading false information, but Derek does some good work too. So Derek is who built the Gematrinator calculator. I'm forgetting all sorts of people right now that I shouldn't be forgetting. But go through my subscriptions. The people I'm subscribed to, you should probably subscribe to them too, because I mostly subscribe to the people who are doing this work in the community and help getting the knowledge out there. And again, this knowledge just doesn't have enough recognition. And I'll also say this. If this Signs Matter thing takes off like the way I hope it will, if that does, I'm going to have a lot of stuff to be managing and taking care of. Now, obviously, I won't have as much time to do as much with Gematria as I have been. But to me, that's not a bad thing if that happens. There's plenty of people in this community who can carry the torch. Oh, by the way, let me get Bryson's channel on here. Bryson Bell. Okay, I wasn't unsubscribed from him. He's almost to 1,000, you guys. If he gets 84 more subscribers, he'll be at 1,000. And, I'm pretty sure he's got a smartphone and he could go live stream if he wants to do that. Again, Bryson's got some serious balls, and he carries himself like he's 50, even though he's only 15. But, just support all these people in the community that are doing the work. And that's what I was going to say. Like, if the Signs Matter thing takes off, and I got this optimism that it's finally going to take off. I've been trying to do something that takes off, that really helps our position in the world. If this Signs Matter thing really gets going, I'll be focused on that very much. I'll still do Gematria work, absolutely. And, but if I don't have as much time to do it, there's people stepping up all over the place like Bryson. And Bryson's really good at this, you guys. I mean, he's a really good researcher like Ben. But Ben doesn't have his own YouTube page yet. Ben, you should make a YouTube page. He's a busy college student right now, but, yeah, Ben, an occasional video from you here and there, people would love you, man. I know Ben's out there somewhere. You might be in class right now, but yeah, a YouTube page from Ben would be great. He does have his blog. What is it? Is it thecoincidencetheorist.com? I don't think I'm on my other browser right now. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, if you guys got here late, again, good news. The domain's registered. Did the contract this morning with the web team. They're building the website. They said it could be done as soon as this Friday. Worst case scenario, 2 weeks from now. Got the meeting with the accountant this Friday to set up the not-for-profit charity for Signs Matter. And going to have at least one video of helping out at least one homeless person before the end of this week. And again, we'll start doing a lot more of that. So I'm going to start a YouTube channel called Signs Matter, if you guys want to subscribe to that once I get it launched. And I think I am going to start doing my Yakima streams on there. And at the beginning in the early days of Signs Matter, to make sure that they're going out on the corner and holding the sign, I'm just going to go out there and spend the 2 hours with them, So, and also what I realized I'm going to do is I'm going to have them like work a corner with just positive messages. And then I'm going to be like on an opposite corner with something a little bit more controversial, like agenda, event 201, this type of stuff. I'm not going to have the homeless people hold those kind of signs. What I was saying to Sweet Lady is I think like the majority of the days of the week, I just want like a positive message. And maybe we'll even theme it like Mondays, you expect this type of thought. Tuesdays, this type of thought. Wednesdays, this type of thought. I'll think more about these things as time goes on, but maybe there'll be a day of the week where it's like pose a good question day. Are we free? This type of thing. But not so controversial, but just like things that people need to ask about. Are we free? How come the homeless guy is out there today asking, are we free? And he's not asking for money. You know what I mean? So anyway, we'll have fun with this. We'll figure out what engages people. But I'm going to go out there and watch them. And maybe some days I'll just have a positive message too. But I'll stay like kitty corner and they won't even know if I'm exactly part of the operation. But I'll be out there with my own sign. And maybe it'll be interesting to see like how people engage. Why don't you have a sign like those guys over there? I don't like your... Is COVID an agenda? Just, we'll engage how humanity interacts and we'll get some real voices of humanity out of this experiment as well. But, yeah, so that's how we're going to do it in the early days. Instead of putting the money in an office and all that right away, which is something we definitely want to do. I just realized in the beginning, in the early days as we started up, I can just be out there with them each day. Because, again, putting in 2 hours a day, that ain't nothing. As you guys know, I do go 7 days a week. And we're out here to make a difference. And, if I had to, I'd go out there and stand with them 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. But, yeah, I think 2 hours a day is a good starting point. Because, again, homeless people, they still got things to do too. They can't, they don't have a job, but, a lot of them have a family and children and dogs and, again. And homeless people, I know they have a price point and ideas too. Again, I have plenty of experience working with the homeless. I know some of them will probably even say that they'll want more than $20 to stay for 2 hours. And I'll be like, okay. But then that's when you're like, okay, I'll find somebody else who'll do it. Then I'll be like, all right, I'll do it. It's like, come on, man, you can't be trying to hustle me. I'm giving you guaranteed $20 for 2 hours out here. So, yeah, homeless people know how to hustle too. Anyway. And that's what I'm trying to do too, you guys, just put all my experience and knowledge and all the things I've done like into a project, Care about the truth, care about waking people up, care about helping people, care about homeless people. Let's put it into one project. Let's just streamline it all. Let's make it all work together. So if you guys do want to invest in this, maybe you're already on Patreon, maybe you pledge $5 a month, maybe you pledge $1 a month. If you can afford it. If not, you guys, trust me, $1 a month is plenty. I'm not trying to pressure you anything. If everybody pledged $1 a month, we'd have all the resources to do everything we need. Signs matter and all. $1 a month is plenty, but if you have excess, if you can afford it, I did start this new tier at $8 a month for Signs Matter. And again, I went with 8 because it's symbolic, because 8 is a number and also a word that you use to describe that you ate some food. And again, we're here to feed homeless people who are in a bad spot, and what they're going to do is help get out a positive message. And would you guys even be surprised if these homeless people realize they like holding up a sign with a positive message? I'm also going to go down to the sign shop here in Yakima today, and I'm going to talk to him and see if he can start making the signs at a less expensive rate if we do this. Because part of the reason this is happening is actually because of the local sign shop guy. When I went in there to get the signs made for the event in Seattle, he was so stressed out. He was freaking out. He's so annoyed because the homeless people keep breaking into his shop and stealing stuff. And his office, he shut down the whole office. He has the door all locked up. Everything's dark. The windows are blocked because he keeps getting broken into. And now he just lets you in through the big garage door he has in the warehouse area where they make the signs at. He says, there's a sign that says, call if you need to get in. But he's like, yeah, it's a nightmare. The homeless is every day breaking in, stealing. And then the other thing he was stressed out about, he's like, and now the politicians are going to make minimum wage $50 an hour. He's like, how am I going to afford to pay any? Like, I didn't even know the guy, but he's going off about all this stuff, just so stressed out, just signs of the times. And I was sitting there talking to him for a while. But anyway, I'm going to say, you know what, man? You inspired me too and made me think like, yeah, let's do something about the homeless so they don't have to break into all the shops. Can you cut me a break on these signs? Your signs are kind of expensive, man. So I just realized the local businesses here, everything costs. See, that's the thing about this day and age, right? It's like you can go have Amazon make this stuff for you. These big companies, they'll make it for way less, But at the same time, if all we do is support these companies that can make things for way less, it's ultimately not good for our communities, which means it's ultimately not good for us. So, pay a premium a little bit to help out the local business. To me, that seems like the better thing to do for the long run. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, but you got to make your price a little bit more reasonable, man. This seems like too much for these materials. So that's all for now, True Seeker. And I'm looking forward to your feedback. Again, if you left a comment in the live chat, please also leave a comment once the video posts and it allows you to post. Usually it's like 5 or 10 minutes after the video stream ends. But I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on signs matter. Do you think it's better to pay them $20, or maybe should we actually get the spot and have a kitchen and make food for them every day? I imagine there's probably even plenty of people that if this was created would be willing to volunteer. There's a lot of elderly retired people in this community. A lot of if I promote this in my neighborhood, I guarantee you there's older people in this community who would love to help out and volunteer just for something to do during the day. Because this community is full of, here's what this town's mostly made up of. Working class Mexicans who work in the agricultural sector and retired people. Now, in that retired people, there's a lot of people here with money and time on their hands. Man, if we can get some people to come down and volunteer and work in the kitchen and make food every day, I mean, that's a big expense saved. And I guarantee you, if I let people know, I live in a retirement community. I'm the only person in here who's under 55 years old in this neighborhood I live in. Well, me and Sweet Lady are. Sweet Lady and I. Sweet Lady and I. Proper English. But, yeah, I guarantee if we had this going, that there would be some volunteers right in this community that would just love to do it. Come down day or two a week, make their favorite salad, their favorite whatever, Just have the ingredients there. So, you guys let me know. Should we really do something more like that? Do you think a $6,000? Because I'm thinking about it, man. It's $6,000 a month to go 7 days a week, giving 10 people a $20 bill to eat. It's actually a little bit more than $6,000. Now, I know for that amount of money, we can definitely rent the building that has the kitchen, have a bunch of ingredients. I mean, if the rent for the building is around $1,500, and that leaves you with about $4,500, $5,000 in your budget if you're comparing it to the other alternative, you can buy a lot of food with that amount, right? That's a lot of food. You got your electricity bill, of course, and plumbing. So, I mean, there's a few other expenses, but ultimately that could be better. You could help out way more people. You really could. And it could just be something like that. The homeless people come there, they register their name. You get their name. You probably don't have a way to contact them, but just check in. You got their name. Just something simple, name, birthday, and, check in. You just do their time log. Okay, on this date they came in, they did 2 hours, and maybe that's how it is. It's for every hour you get a meal token. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Meal token. So you guys are going to let me know, because I'm not reading the comments right now, but I'm going to see based on the comments and responses. That way you could actually have more people, more signs, feed more meals. The more I talk about it, the more I think this is the better way to go. So I need to call Mr. Man here in Yakima too, and see what's up with the building. And maybe if he heard that I was doing this, he'd cut us a discount. So the website team actually said, "Oh, I'll do a discounted rate." And then they gave me the price. I was like, it still seems kind of expensive, man. But okay, discounted rate. Okay, that's better. So anyway, I'll get back to you guys. But yeah, things are moving. You're going to see the website real soon. You're going to see that things are coming to life. So again, thank you to everyone who supports, because you guys inspire me to get out here every day. And I really do hope we can grow our numbers, because we got a lot more to accomplish. And again, support all these YouTubers. I shouldn't call them YouTubers, just these people who've made YouTube channels who want to get out the word, develop their own following. And again, Randy, Bryson, Sean, these are all people that came out and showed that they have what it takes to get on the streets and talk to people and engage with people and make them think about things. So we got to support these people. These are people here to make a difference. And yeah, we're going to leave it right there, True Seeker. Till next time.